You can hear me. Okay. Good evening. This is the Celebration Residential Owners Association Board of Directors meeting rescheduled from July 27th till this evening. We're glad to have all of you with us. Hope everybody stayed dry. We're glad to have those of you with us online. We are recording, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, great. At this time, I'd like to know if the meeting was properly noticed.
it was properly done.
And do we have a quorum?
You do.
And just for the record, 6 of the 7 board members are present tonight. Mr. Kensel is not with us this evening, so we do. For the Pledge of Allegiance.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for all.
Thank you. I see so many of you here tonight in person. The approach that we take is that we invite owner comments, and typically we ask this first group of owner comments to be related to anything that's on the action item agenda. But I do notice that we've got a lot of swimmers here in the room, and I don't, though I'm sure you would love to get a lesson in civics, I'm pretty sure you don't want to be here all night. So what we're going to do is that we have a list of people who have signed up to speak. We're going to ask you to come up and speak. If you're not a little kid or a young person and you want to talk about a discussion item, then we're going to ask you to hold that till we get to the discussion items. But other than that, we would love to have you speak. There'll be a timer up on the screen of 3 minutes, and we're going to ask you to stick to that. We're going to ask you to come to the podium. That may be challenging for some of you, but we'll make sure. We just want to make sure everybody can hear you and see you. So with that, I'm going to go down the list. And the first name I've got to speak is Mary Lou Hood. If you just tell everybody your name and address, and then.
Good afternoon. My name is Muriel Quin. I live at 275 Walton, Georgetown, and I'll be very brief. I'm here to discuss landscaping issues and security issues, but I don't think either one of them are on the agenda today. I did briefly of this meeting, and I think that somebody will reach out to me, hopefully, and I'll invite them to come and review and walk the areas of interest if they have any interest.
Great. Very much appreciate it.
Jude, I would just like to make a comment because Golden Rain is obviously Georgetown.
It is.
We're having a condo council meeting here on Thursday evening. If you would like to attend, I'd be more than willing.
Tomorrow
Night, here at 5:30, 5 o'clock, which would be an opportunity to come and speak then because that's part of the condos.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll make an effort to try and do that.
Okay.
I do work for Disney, so there's not as flexible as I am, but I'll try to work.
Okay.
We've heard that. All right. Thanks. Next on the list, I think, is Maddie Elijah. Maddie, let's see, how are we going to do this? Come with your monitor. Put the microphone maybe down here. I don't bite, despite what you've heard. And so if you want to just, yeah, there you go. As long as you hold. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Madeline Elijah. I lived in Celebration for over 3 years. And last year, I joined the Celebration Cycling swim team. I have learned so much from my coaches in this last year. And I have made lots of new friends, including some of the big kids. Our team is like another family to me. I get to have fun doing something that I already love. I also get to win ribbons or medals at swim meets while I'm representing Celebration. I have a few other after-school activities, and they are also in Celebration. I go to Gracie Baja and X Factor Dance. I love that it's all so close to home because it gives me more time to spend with my family and friends. Thank you for listening.
Wow, thank you. Great team next year. Next is Kathleen Scipio.
Oh, I had to apologize.
Yeah, I know. Well, you have to stand at the podium, so there you go.
Thank you, Maddie, for being great. Guess we'll start by 3 minutes. So I'm Kathleen Scipio. I'm a resident of Celebration at 1113 Mosaic Drive. And I'm also the executive director of the Celebration Foundation. So I've been here for the annual meeting when I asked everybody to stand up for anything that they participated in the foundation. So that was March. So I thought I'd stop by and give you a little update of what we have planned for the year. We are planning for a year of encores and experiences. We want to bring traditions back and we want to get connected in person. How we're going to do that is Celebration Lifelong Learning is returning to in-person classes right here and Zoom classes as well to give people an option of what they're comfortable with and their personal choice. Registration is opening August 22nd. It is all volunteer instructors that donate their time to us to enrich our lives in all different sort of subjects, and we brought back very popular courses that people really were well attended. We are also returning the first weekend in December, if you want to get your calendars out, the Winter Wonderland and Market here again. And also the Holiday Home Tour is coming back. And that is a great volunteer opportunity for our students that are looking for volunteer hours for the Bright Futures Scholarship. Last year at Celebration High School, they graduated 605 students, and only 22 students received the Bright Futures due to lack of volunteer opportunities to make that. You know that needs volunteer hours, send them to the Celebration Foundation. Our concert series, I'm watching my clock. Our concert series is coming back with 5 concerts. We have the Save the Date in the Celebration magazine. And our first one will be the Celebration Central Florida Brass Band, very traditional, and it will be Saturday, December 17th. And how you can help this month, this community, is we are hosting our annual Stuff the Bus, where if you'd like to stop by, supplies for students in need at Celebration K8, we would welcomely accept them. And we have a lot more going on, but I know my time is running out. And I just want to thank CROA and the Town of Celebration and Liz for helping us in the news magazine and the Friday Flash. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Next is Barbara Bowers-Camp.
Do you want to speak now?
If you'd like to, or if you want to wait till we get to the discussion items.
I can wait.
Okay, let's wait and we'll come back. All right. Next is Eileen Barr.
I need little cheats. Eileen Barr, 1138 Mosaic Drive. I wanted to say a few words about Lakeside. I was a bit disconcerted and disappointed when, well, I was very happy to see that Lakeside is back among venues that we're considering improving and making part of the important areas where Celebration residents really enjoy themselves. To me, Lakeside is really our premier performing arts center. It is an outdoor performing arts center, but you know, this is Florida, and performing arts centers can be indoors or outdoors. My cheat sheet over here has the name of the theater at Epcot. I am sure almost everybody in this room has been to both the theater at Epcot, which is called the American Garden Theater Stage, and Lakeside. And we've probably all been there when it's been a little cold and a little rainy, and still had a wonderful time anyway. But I'd like to see that the same some funds be used to analyze what Lakeside needs to make it a better performing stage. I know it needs the stage itself needs to be built out. We need lighting. We need a new sound system. I believe we need some electricity. And then I think there's also just with some new landscaping, you can probably increase the number of people who come to Lakeside tremendously. And there are two things that we all really know, that Lakeside is ours, it belongs to CROA, and two, everybody loves it. There's nothing nicer than sitting at Lakeside, drinking a glass of wine, having a little snack, and watching a performance. I know that it would be wonderful at some point if we could seriously talk about putting some kind of semi-permanent or permanent structure on it, but that is a big project and maybe a little further down. Though I would like to suggest that perhaps the board would consider putting into the budget 1 or 2 weeks this coming year where we could have a temporary tent. It would be up for, say, a week. And CROA could use it, the foundation could use it, the Boy Scouts could use it. I'm looking at Cindy here. And it would also give us that proof of concept to see whether or not having a permanent structure at Lakeside is something we want to pursue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next on the list is Dennis Dowd.
My name is Dennis Dowd. My address is 925 Croton Road, Celebration. I've been a resident of Celebration for years. For the first 10 years or so of my stay here, Heritage Hall, especially the front side of Heritage Hall, was an iconic face, one of the iconic faces for Celebration. Had beautiful flowers all around the fountain. It had flowers by the bench closest to camp, or closest to the street down from it. And it also had flowers by the bench on the other side. About 10 years ago, there was a decision made by the previous management, the previous board, to remove the flowers from around the fountain and put them in pots on the porch or the portico there in front of it. After that happened, not within a year or so, the flowers disappeared from the pots. They were replaced with annual green plants. A year or so after that, they were replaced with perennials. And then not too long ago, those perennial green plants were replaced with evergreens, basically. And now those evergreens have died from lack of attention. Already. My request to the board is that as you look at improving the landscaping in Celebration, look at what Celebration looked like when we all liked it, and maybe replace some of those flowers. Put flowers back where they were to start with, and make Celebration look like it did when we moved here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Matt Walton.
Matt Walton, 1410 Celebration Avenue, Unit 203. Wife Kelly and I started the Cyclones in 2018. We did not know how we would be received by the community. After stopping the program for the birth of our son, that you hear, at the end of 2019, and having COVID right after, we had doubts of starting again. As COVID restrictions relaxed, we started receiving emails daily asking about the team. It made us realize that this team had become more than a hobby for us. My wife does not brag about herself, so I am here to do it for her. She has taken her love of swimming and instilled her values of kindness, love, and understanding. Her skills as a special education teacher and administrator have made our program into a swim team like no other. She has been involved with the town of Celebration for 18 years, coaching the high school team and teaching, and her love of this town has not wavered. Kelly has received Coach of the Year in Osceola County for the past 3 years in a row. That is quite an accomplishment and speaks to her dedication to these kids. She has given so much of her time and energy to this town. We made the Cyclones a nonprofit organization to be able to take care of those less fortunate. Since cyclones started back up in April of 2021, we have given away thousands of dollars in scholarships and our time. The parents here in Celebration have been very generous in helping us help others. We have breakfast parties on Saturday mornings. Kelly does tie-dye with the kids. We have pizza parties. Kelly helps the families of Celebration with schooling needs. We even have kids on the team that Kelly coached, their parents in high school. Her connections and abilities run far and deep, and she is always helping someone. Again, it is more than a swim team. The Celebration Cyclones are ranked very good in this state. We have kids qualifying for state and national levels. There may soon be a child from Celebration headed to the Olympics. I don't know what kind of press Celebration gets from its other programs, but from us, it is tremendous. Right in our name is the town, Celebration Cyclones. We are proud to be members of this community, and we hope to make this town proud. With my wife in charge of this program, I have no doubt that anything is possible. As I said, it is more than a swim team. It is a family.
Thank you. It looks like the Florimonte family, you're going to get 3 minutes combined, so whoever wants to speak for the family, or however you want to do that. Hi. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Talia Clemente, and I'm going into my junior year at Celebration High School. I started swimming competitively my freshman year on the high school team and joined CCST this last year. Being in CCST has helped me improve my swimming and my understanding what being part of a team means. Being in this club helped me gain confidence in myself and in my sport. I was able to feel for the first time what a team really is. After school, I was able to have a space every day that was calming and healing for me. The pool was a space where I could de-stress from my everyday life, while also having fun with my friends. Now I have so many memories I continue to cherish that I made with my amazing teammates. Through the club, I was able to come to love my sport. My coaches, Coach Justin and Coach Kelly, are both amazing and wonderful people, and I'm so grateful that they decided to create CCST. Our coaches always like to say that a great team is not just led by the coaches, but by the swimmers. At first, I didn't really grasp the meaning of this quote, but now I'm beginning to get it. To be a successful team, unity has to be achieved. In swimming, we swim down a black line for 2 hours, 6 days a week. And sometimes there are days when it is hard to mentally get yourself to put your best in your practice, and that's when unity is important. When your teammates push you to give your best on those hard days, when your coaches don't give up on you when you're not making the time. That's unity, and that's what our club team has achieved. Our practices are held at Lakeside Pool, which is a pool shared by the whole community, and that's why I'm grateful to the town for letting us swim there, for allowing us to share this space with them. This town is such a special place because of how open and kind everyone is. Everyone there, from the other swimmers to the kids playing in the water, have always been so neighborly to each other by showing small acts of kindness. Personally, when I go to Lakeside, I sometimes get asked about CCST or the high school team. I always enjoy those times when someone talks to me about swimming because I can tell that they actually enjoy hearing about what makes me happy and about a bit of my life. So I wanted to come here to give a proper thank you to the coaches, teammates, and my family. Thank you to Coach Justin and Coach Kelly for creating such a beautiful thing that has positively affected so many of our lives. Thank you to my teammates for becoming some of my closest friends and for sharing this experience with me. And thank you to the town of Celebration for making all of this possible by being generous enough to let us use the community pools. CCST will continue to grow, but all of us working together in unity and as a team and as a town. Thank you.
Some of you might be wondering why we're getting these comments tonight. My understanding is that the Recreation Committee is sending out for RFPs for several recreation programs, including swimming. And I'm sure that all of the members of the Recreation Committee are listening tonight and will watch this video if they're not here in person, and we'll take your comments to heart. And we appreciate it. And is it Talia?
Yeah.
Talia, thank you very much. We appreciate that. That's very brave to get up here to speak. And Mrs. Bowers Camp will be recruiting you next week for drama. All right. Last name I have on the list here in the room is Charles Richards.
I'm going to pass. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have anyone online?
Muriel Quin.
Okay. Mrs. Quinn, if you can hear us, unmute yourself and your time will start now.
Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you just fine.
Okay, great. Muriel Quin, South Village. I'm here to speak to the community garden. For over the approximately past 4 years, I have sent multiple emails to the board and CROA staff, attended 2 recreation committee meetings, met with the garden club on multiple occasions, met with Madame. And as of the last communication with the recreation committee chair, the new chair, was May 29th to ask to be placed back on the agenda. I've been asked to find out if there was community interest about a year ago. I have over 100 residents that have expressed an interest in having a community garden, regardless of 2 board members mentioning to the garden club. They were skeptical of that. Skeptical, we're not exactly sure what. What I'm trying to find out is how, with compassion and with civility, do we get a community garden or gardens, smaller ones, within this community? There is incredible resident interest, again, regardless of what the 2 new board members have indicated. It is at a point where after 4 years, I don't understand why this is not getting attention. It serves the residents. The residents are asking for this amenity. And I want the board to take this seriously. I want to hear back from the recreation committee. I want to hear back from the new chairperson. I don't want to hear back that you're very, very busy, because this has been 4 years running now. So I asked the board with compassion and with civility to pay attention to the residents who are asking for this, especially now in light of our economic situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other hands raised to comment?
Not online.
Anyone else in the audience? Okay, thank you all for your comments, and the board is listening. We don't typically comment at this point, but we have taken note of what you have to say to us, so thank you all. Item is to adopt the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
At this time, if there's any request to remove anything from the consent agenda, this would be the time to do it. Otherwise, we would move to adoption of the agenda.
I have one request to remove the financials at Brian's request, so he can discuss them at next meeting.
Yeah, item 5 on your agenda was financials. Since Brian is the treasurer and he is unable to be with us tonight, he asked that we wait till next Wednesday, which is August 10th, which will be our next meeting. So with that amendment to the agenda, any other? All right, then those in favor of adopting the agenda as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. We are now to item 4, which is the approval of the minutes. This is of the CROA board meeting of July 13th, 2022. Board members, you had this in your package. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it passes 6-0. Next item, we're skipping the financials now, is the president's update, my happiest time. I'm glad to be able to spend with you a couple of minutes. I want to keep this brief tonight. We've been talking about doing great things together, and you can hear it goes everywhere from swim team to working in the community and improving the look of our community and returning it to the way that it used to look, David. And I'm proud of what we've done. In the 150 some days that this board has been together, a great deal has been accomplished. And I want to just share that with you very briefly. We have at this point completed 10 landscape park projects. We have 43 parks in progress, which includes Heritage, I believe, doesn't it? We have 26 repair projects completed. We have 7 repair projects in progress. I think we're going to hear about the tennis courts tonight. We have 5 painting projects that have been completed. And we have a total number of projects for all of these things of 187 projects. That is a huge number in 150 days. I think that I'm looking at Debbie McDonald, who's been on this board many times. This is a velocity rate that we would not have seen in years past. We've done a lot in a very short period of time. And I want to thank management and all the people who are here from management tonight, because I know that we're asking you to go fast. I've described this as fixing the engines on a 737 at 30,000 feet. I suspect that is a difficult thing to do, and we're asking a lot of our staff to do it. I also want to just give you a quick visual look at some of the things going on around the community. Natalie's been kind enough to send me pictures of lots of projects. These are just a few for you to see. But what I really hope is that as you drive around town, you see the parks in front of your home looking better. You see the general landscaping is getting better. You see that our common shared facilities are improved. This takes time, and we are making progress. And so I wanted to share some of those photos with you. Tonight, we have approvals on the consent agenda for 12 action items. There will be about $27,000 in landscaping and about $75,000 in repairs and painting. This is not an insignificant amount, but you can see that the pace is slowing down. We're actually getting through most of the big projects now and starting to reach, I think, a more stable and more normal level. Remember that for more than 2 years, we just didn't have the chance to do very much. And so we played catch up, and I think now we're finally getting caught up. I also want to talk about our part as owners. Currently, we have, when I prepared this slide deck a few days ago, we had 848 inspection violations. Tonight, that number is down considerably. It's only 452, and 263 of those are open. So I want to thank our Covenants Committee, our ARC Committee, our inspectors, our staff that's working with Stephanie. But I also want to thank all of the owners. It's a lot to do, but I think you can see the effects. As I was walking today in Artisan, and by the way, Dr. Barr, Artisan has no open violations. So yeah, again, Artisan, right? But as I was walking in Artisan today, I could tell that people had cleaned. They had cleaned their sidewalks. They had done some landscaping. They had done some work. So as owners, we are also taking a part in this. And so that's why we say doing great things together. So I appreciate what everyone is doing. And that's my overview for tonight. Okay. Now moving to the action items part of the agenda. The first part of the agenda is the consent agenda. Just so that the audience knows, the way that the consent agenda works is that I'm going to ask for a motion and a second to approve. And once we've got the motion and the second, we will not enter into any discussion. We will simply go to a vote immediately on the consent agenda. So in the consent agenda, action items 7A, 1 through 4, I believe, am I correct? Correct. Are landscaping items. And I'm not going to read them all out here, but I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda for landscaping items 1 through 4.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll go to a vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. The second consent agenda is the consent agenda for maintenance and other items. This is B 1 through 7. Am I correct there?
Correct.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items B 1 through 7?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much. Now we come to the action items where we've got more discussion. Action item C1 is a motion to initiate the finding process of non-compliance items. As I see it, correct me, Stephanie, if I'm wrong, but I see 263 open items. You may not have the total, but.
No, I have it.
Okay.
It's actually 252 open items.
Okay, well, math was never the thing I did. Okay, 252. So we got 250 items. Board members, you have an updated package in front of you. I would entertain a motion to initiate the finding process.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Next is a motion to approve a resident fee waiver request. Again, board members, you have this in your package. It is confidential, but you can check it out here. And is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I'll call the question. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
If I could
Sure.
just make a point. For those who, even though you've outlined this process, who are new to this, sounds like we went through a lot and proved thousands of dollars without discussing. All of these materials, except for this last item, these last two items about non-compliance and resident fee waiver request, all of these are in the public board packet that's distributed widespread to the community. We've all seen this. The board then has gone in deeper and looked at these and raised questions in advance. So just because we're moving quickly doesn't mean it's automatic. Because just a point of clarification, it's all public information except for those personnel things, those last two items.
Okay, good, thank you. Moving on to action item number 3 is a motion to renew a one-year contract extension for Aqua Yoga, Celebration Little Fins, Family Fitness, X Factor Dance, Casty Sports, Celebration Little League, Irish Dance, and Yoga as recommended by the Recreation Committee. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Discussion. And again, just to explain what's going on here is we're approving 6-month contract extensions for those groups. Am I correct?
This one is 1 year for number 3.
I'm sorry.
Next one is 6.
Okay, so 1 year for those groups, and the Recreation Committee has recommended that recommendation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Action item number 4 is a motion to renew a 6-month contract extension for Celebration Soccer Club, Celebration Tropics Soccer, and Phoenix Lacrosse as recommended by the Recreation Committee. Is there a motion? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion? Mr. Hayes?
Mr. Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
The 6-month, right?
Just a question.
Yeah.
Do you have, or does anyone have any understanding why it was 6 months for these 3, but 1 year for the others? Is there?
So I
Stole my
can,
question.
Yeah, I think that will be helpful for
I can explain
clarification.
that.
Thank you.
So the 6-month contract extensions for the 2 soccer clubs in Phoenix Lacrosse are to accommodate the RFP process for those programs. Their contracts actually end in August of this year. So we wanted to maintain the continuity of the programs while we got through this RFP process. So we're extending to the end of the year. With the 1-year contract extensions, the plan for the Recreation Committee is to eventually get through the RFP process for all of our partner programs because they're all coming up into their extension and end lines. So once we get these initial RFPs done next year, we'll start with another group of RFPs and so on and so on.
That's helpful. Thank you.
And remember, the board will make the final decision based on the recommendation of the Recreation Committee, but this is the work of that committee, so we appreciate that. Any other comments? All right, those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. That is the action part of the agenda. Now we're going to the discussion items. In the discussion items, if you would like to speak on any of these items, just let us know, raise your hand, let me know, and we'll invite you up here. We're going to start with item A, which is a management update. Who's doing that? Is it Lauren or?
Yeah, I'll do that one.
All right.
So since this is generally the end of the month, we don't have call center stats. Those will all be coming next week. We are currently, in terms of staffing, we are down 2 people. We just made an offer to a front counter replacement, and we are actively looking for an IT administrator position. But other than that, we are full up. So our management team is finally full, and most critical positions are full. The violation letters, this is a hot topic for a lot of people.
You want to speak into the microphone?
So, okay, so So Grand Manners Corporate is aware of the number of issues that we've been having with the violation letters. The first one is the duplicative mailings. So some people have gotten 3 copies of the same letter. Some have gotten up to 19 is the highest that I've heard. So we discovered that the issue was the image and file size of the pictures that were getting uploaded with the document. There was some coding that needed to be fixed. That has since been fixed as of July 15th, I believe. 21st, sorry. So if your letter was approved prior to July 21st, you may or may not get 5 or 6 copies of your letter. None of that will be charged back to the association. That is all being handled by Grand Manners as it was their mistake.
And have they solved that?
And they have solved that moving forward. The other fix for that is the inspector's usage of the iPad, which will be initiated in the coming weeks. There's just some last minute configuration on the back end that needs to be completed so they can use the iPads, and that will streamline their process even further. On top of that issue, we have some template responses for ARC and Covenant's common questions that will speed up the staff responses to emails that we get in our town hall email addresses or town hall email box. So we should be doing a quicker turnaround in terms of responding to ARC and Covenant's questions. The other,
well, let me speak to that for just a minute. I talked to Grand Manners Corporate, and they did a check of your email boxes this morning. There were 17 emails that had not been responded to us all out of several hundred that have been received in the last week. So we're actually pretty responsive at this point, and you're doing better than I am with 17. So the final issue was the quality of the pictures, and I know there was a question about the quality of the pictures. Cindy's been working with Gary and others. The board got copies today of those new pictures, and they look better to me. I don't know if anyone else has any comments about it, but I saw the old pictures, which were black and white and smaller, and the new ones are a little bigger and they're in color. They look better to me. Cindy, do you have any comment about it?
I haven't seen it.
Okay. Anybody else? Jim, have you seen it?
The color ones didn't look like they were bigger in the sample because there was 3 of them and there was room on each side at 8.5 inches. So
I just confirmed with the configuration team before the meeting that we are going with the 3x3 pictures.
Okay.
So each picture will be 3x3 and it will be printed in color.
2 at a time on each row.
Yes.
Yeah, they
So
were
there'll be
printing
a
them in
total
black
of
and
3
white
pictures.
before, I think,
Yes,
is
they
what was
were.
happening. So now they're in color. So the goal is so that a resident can see what needs to be corrected, right? So we're continuing to work with that and see what happens. And then the last piece was the batching. We discovered that what was happening was Stephanie approves a series of letters. She sends them to Texas. And in Texas, they wait a certain number of days and batch them and send them as a whole batch. And obviously, we didn't want that. That's what caused these late arrivals. In other words, you got to have an inspector at your home, and then it's a long time until you get the letter. And part of that was the batching. There was anywhere from 7 to 14-day delay because of that. So Grand Manners is working with their IT president to figure out the batching problem. I have a commitment from Stacy that they will get a fix for that. So I think the violation letters, I think that's pretty much all.
Those are the big ticket items. Yeah.
Okay. And they recognize the problem. Go ahead.
Just 2 things. I saw on some of the social media that there's a mistake in the email address in the violation letters. Has that been corrected? And then just to remind folks that 14 days does not mean that somebody's going to come and do something horrible to you or charge you a bunch of money. You just need to contact town hall and let them know, yeah, sorry, landscaper's going to take care of it. 1 week, 2 weeks. I got a painter scheduled for 3 weeks down the road and you're good to go. So just know that too. So if you get a letter after the 14 days has expired, don't fret, just respond and you'll be good.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I would say is that in working with Gary Hudspeth, who's the chair of the Covenants Committee, we've agreed to go to twice-a-month meetings, starting, what time, Gary?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, and going till 8 o'clock. So 3-hour meetings. Cindy has graciously agreed to assist interference, as it were, to make sure we get through all of that in 3 hours. But Stephanie, we appreciate the work that you and your inspectors and your staff are doing. We know it's a huge job. We're beginning to get through the backlog, and we appreciate all of
We got 11 emails right now on our team. They were all received later today, but I could say about 2 o'clock, they've all cleared their mailboxes. So
We're getting better. I think that's the point. We're getting better. And I know everybody's really trying to be responsive to this. So thank you. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry, I jumped in there.
I think those were the big ticket items. Do you want me to take voter registration now, or do you want to wait on that one?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's go ahead and do voter registration now.
So voter registration is also, we're waiting for Tom to provide the board with the guidelines and the resolution. He was on vacation last week, so he did not complete that. He's going to get that done by next meeting.
Do you want to tell people who Tom is, if they don't know?
Tom Slayton is CROA legal counsel. He's the one who drafts all of our legal documents and resolutions. Second thing, kind of tied to voter registration, we've had a lot of questions about political signs and flags and what's permitted and what's not permitted. So just for a refresher for everybody, you are allowed to have 3 political signs not exceeding 18 by 24 inches. They may contain political or similar endorsements, and they may be posted on a unit. Such signs may only be posted for 45 days prior to an election or a vote on a referendum for 2 days and for 2 days thereafter. And that's in Exhibit C, Section C8, sub C.
So there is a primary, as you probably know, in Florida on August 23rd. So we are now in that 45-day window for signs. After August 23rd, signs would have to come down and then could come back up 45 days before the November general election. Okay. There was also some question about what language can you put on the sign? And the broad answer to this is anything that's not offensive. And by offensive, it's typically interpreted as vulgarity, expletives, things that would meet the Potter-Stewart test of I know it when I see it. In general, that means that there may be signs that some of us would look at and say, I don't agree with that, or I don't think it's right, or I think it's offensive to me, but we are not in the censorship business, and therefore those signs are permitted as long as they don't cross that particular line. But we ask that all of us continue to respect, as Mrs. Quin said, with civility and respect for one another in placing those signs out there. Okay, great. All right, let's talk about any other comments? Yes.
Projects.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, wait, let me just ask, anything else about this in the room, public? Okay.
All right, projects. So just to give you a little history, we now have another 12 parks completed since I last spoke with you, Jackson. Hippodrome, Pergola is completed. North Village, they are starting to grind and pave all the sidewalks starting on Monday. So all those sidewalks will be fixed. What myself and my team have been doing is we've been going village by village, doing detailed inspections with our vendors. We have done East Village, we have done South Village, Artisan Park, and tomorrow it is going to be Celebration Village. And then we're going through getting what needs to be done, the scopes of work, and then bringing them to you guys for approval. All landscaping has been approved already, except for Deerwoods Park, which that's going to be a special project, but I can't disclose what that is. But we are continuing to keep on moving tennis courts. They are delayed to the fact that I'm making the vendor go back and correct some items of the tennis courts that I have not approved. They are not up to standards, and we're here to get it right. So I am not accepting the job to be completed until it's done correctly.
When would you anticipate that being done? I know there's interest in getting these courts reopened.
They're redoing it tomorrow, so I would say 3 to 5 days to cure. So by next week.
Obviously, weather permitting.
Weather permitting.
Because it never rains in Florida.
Are the gates locked? Because I saw something about skateboarding.
Yeah,
The courts 3, 4, and 5, there's no gates.
There's no
lock.
gate.
That's been part of
Kindly
it.
ask, that's been part of the problem. We're just kindly asking to kind of try to stay off them so they can cure properly. But that is a list up there of all the projects we have going on. The update, you could scroll down, it's 3 pages long. We installed clocks to every single pool today. Am I correct, Brian? The air swing is up at Central Park. So except the cement
Not
slab,
yet.
not yet,
We're
the cement slab.
getting the cement slab
Yep.
put in tomorrow, and then we'll put in the swing.
Perfect.
And this is all in the board pack that people can look at, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. I think it's pretty clear, Cindy, I'll get to you in a second. I think it's pretty clear that you guys are doing a tremendous amount, and we're very appreciative of that and know that that's a lot. Cindy, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, so are you saying that, I'm assuming young people, are going on skateboards on the surfaces of the tennis courts?
Yeah. Correct.
Isn't there some way you can barricade them off? Barbed wire, minefield, something?
Can we like put signs up there or something?
Signs don't work.
Signs don't work.
She's joking.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm joking.
we can try and set up the barricades, but it's still kind of.
They break them.
I mean, they jump the fences at the playgrounds, at, at the pool. So, I mean, we do what we can, and we've got the security company alerted, and they're keeping a special eye on Lakeside, but there's only so many hours in a day, and they're supposed to be going back and forth between CCFC and Heritage and Lakeside.
So just to be clear, this is through no fault of our staff and Grand Manners and the company doing the upgrade on the tennis courts. It's
They have to keep re-putting the coats on.
right. So just to be clear. It's not
Thank you.
like-
So,
Yeah, it seems to me, just to Celia's point, we're doing everything we can. But do we have cameras in that location? And if not, can we install temporary cameras securely so that it's like this area is roped off? We can't lock it because we don't have that capability. We're probably not gonna do barbed wire. Can we install some temporary cameras, multiple cameras, and even lighting, just so that
Yes.
just to be more of a deterrent?
So there is cameras. We just finished setting up the human detection and it works.
Okay.
So what we have to do is enable those features on that camera and just, if we have to readjust it, we can.
And
can we do that quickly?
Yes, we can.
And have signage that says cameras are functional, and even consider an extra or two on a temporary basis. Just consider that. Just maximize that so that we can get past this, so that the courts can cure and then be usable by tennis players.
Also wanted to give an update on playgrounds. I spoke to the vendor today. They should be here the last week of September and installed and everything, if everything goes good with weather and everything, by the end of September at Spring Park and Long Meadows.
Right, and we're holding on Lakeside for right now. We've
Yes.
approved it, we're holding it while we do some evaluation, as Mrs. Barr was talking about, and others.
Another clarification, just going back to your earlier point, because like who does what? You said we're going to be working on the sidewalks in North Village. That is the CROA owned sidewalks.
Correct.
Not the 95% of the sidewalks in
Correct.
North Village.
Correct.
Not the ones in front of people's houses.
No.
Just to be clear, it's the CROA owned around the pool area and the
Correct, and in
volleyball
the
court,
parks.
period.
The CROA owned parks.
Yeah, thank you.
Can we get the chairs up on the list?
The only reason I have not done that yet is because town hall is in question.
Yeah, but whether it's in question or not, we still need chairs.
I can do
Throwing
it.
them away when they're.
Why would they throw them away? If we need them, we need them.
Depends what they do with the building.
Okay,
we
so
still need them.
we can certainly move that on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe we'll,
My
well,
rear
the
end
clock
action.
is the first thing under there, but maybe the clock at Lakeside.
It's done.
It's
We did
done?
it today.
It doesn't say.
I know, because it's not updated, because they literally did it today.
Rocks.
All right, any other comments about the projects?
Question about cameras. I got a series of pictures this week.
Yes, it was part of the test. I was asked to remove you and to replace you.
No, they look good. I just wasn't sure if I was supposed to.
Sorry about that, but yeah. Yeah, you're getting notifications.
No.
Nice pictures.
Jose enabled human detection at Heritage.
Spring Bill is getting the picture.
And Bill was
And
there?
Bill was getting the pictures.
Oh, Bill was getting pictures. Oh.
And it's also been enabled at Lakeside. So now, late at night, I even got emails last night at 12:58 a.m. Of some of our teenagers hanging out at Heritage in Spring Park. So.
Okay. Yeah. Mrs. Hood, you want to say something? Come on up. You got to come up here because I got to see you.
Excuse me, sorry. Listening to the conversation, I was just wondering if there's any way to impose fines on the families of these hooligans that are doing this damage to cause all of us more delay and more expense.
Okay.
Our biggest issue is determining who they are.
Yeah.
We can't really post their pictures all over and ask people to identify them. So we would just ask parents to, have a chat with their kids.
Okay. Thank you.
You have another hand up.
Sir, come on up front. Give us your name and address.
Mark Falcone, 1585 Still Street. I'm still new to all this, but is there a vandalism committee? And you guys have that going? And if not, consider one. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. The answer is no, there is not a vandalism committee, but the kids play pool and it rhymes with them.
You need a volunteer.
Okay. Anything else on projects? All right, let's talk about budget meeting selection date. Are we ready to discuss that, or are we going to have to wait for Brian to be able to discuss
I think
it?
we should wait till Brian.
Okay, so I'm going to defer that.
Finance committee is
When's the finance committee meeting?
the 24th at 6 p.m.
Okay, and I think, Mike, are they going to be talking about the budget? Is that okay, so I think we want them to do their work first, right? And then we'll come back and talk about that. We are in the budget process through the end of summer, beginning of fall. Our budget season is a little different than the CCDD. So while you probably got a letter from CCD about their budget, we're on a different process and cycle. So we're not behind, we're just in a different timing. Okay. Next is celebration sanitation rates. Lauren, you want to kick that off?
So we just want to give everybody a heads up that Celebration Sanitation has not raised their rates in a number of years. They will be raising their rates this year to address inflation and other items to ensure that they are able to cover all of their costs. That's going to be part of the larger budget discussion, but we just want to give people a heads up. It's coming, so just keep that in the back of your mind.
And that's a straight pass through, and Ken and his group have done a great job for the community, and we want to make sure that he's paid a fair wage. So we'll get that. The finance committee will look at that as well. It's not really part of our budget. It's a separate standalone, but we need to. It's not on the agenda specifically, but I did ask Liz if she would announce a couple of the events coming up. For those of you who don't know, Liz Wargo and her team have been working really incredibly and doing lots of things. Liz came in and immediately got, let's see, was it Memorial Day and then 4th of July and one big thing after another. But you've got some exciting stuff to share with us tonight.
Yeah. Hi. So we're coming up to some awesome months of events. So we're going to go month by month. August, we have food truck night. It's the second Friday. September, we have food truck night. It's the second Friday. These 2 months, we're working very hard to plan for October, November, and December. In October, we have Falltoberfest, which is on October 8th, it's Saturday, at the Community Field Complex. And then in November, we have Founders Day. We're planning our concert on November 4th and our Veterans Day Parade on November 11th. And then announced this month in the Celebration News magazine, our holiday concert for This year is Big Bad Voodoo Daddy.
Oh,
That's been a big secret, so it's finally announced. So the Big Bad Voodoo Daddy concert will be Tuesday, December 13th at 7:30 p.m. at the Field Complex. They will be playing holiday classics and Christmas originals. They're a world-renowned show. Already on social media, there's people commenting, "Oh no, it's for Celebration residents only. I can't go." So it's really special for your community. That's it.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Big Bad Voodoo Daddy playing the Christmas classics. I don't know. What could possibly go wrong? All right. And thanks to the Special Events Committee for working with Liz and her team. Next, I know we didn't have you speaking, and I think this is probably the right time. Barbara, if you want to come up and talk a little bit about theater.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Bowers-Camp. I'm at 202 North Village Street. I've been a resident of Celebration for 24 years, and I've been the director of theater at Celebration High School since the school opened. I'm here tonight to add to the discussion about the potential to convert the downtown movie theater into Celebration Hall, including a potential performing arts space. I know that in the town surveys, the desire for a performing arts space has been highly ranked. I have often marked this request. And I know that this board has discussed a number of ways to meet that desire, including the potential use of the theater at Celebration High School. As the person who knows the theater intimately and handles all of the booking for it, I felt it would help to share with you what it is and is not available in our theater. Our theater consists of a 32 by 50 proscenium arched stage, including a 7-foot apron and a 660-seat house. Our counterweight fly system contains 20 fully flyable battens consisting of 4 electrics, 9 for curtains, and 7 available for scenery. Our proscenium opening is 50 by 36. It is a theater and not a school auditorium. It was upgraded from a standard school auditorium through a grant written by the school district and members of the theater community in Osceola County with the intention of creating a community theater on the west side of the county. Space is booked through an online system called Facilitron, and those requests come to me for first authorization. The school events take priority, of course, but the major school events are set and on the calendar by the middle of August each year. This includes band, choir, dance concerts, and all school theatrical productions. Outside groups can see full availability in real time via the online calendar on Facilitron. Every event book then has the support of myself and my upper level theater students to ensure that technical needs are met and that the space is protected. While space on the calendar is limited, there are definitely times throughout the year when the theater is available for use. A number of community organizations, including X Factor Dance and the Foreign Language Immersion School, have utilized our theater for performances for years. I'm not suggesting that the theater at Celebration High School will solve the need for performance space, but I do suggest that it is an underutilized option and that it is a venue already in existence and warrants further investigation. I welcome the board to contact me with any questions and to even come tour the facility. Finally, as someone who has worked in the theater world for the better part of my life, I do not think that converting the movie theater into a performance space will give you what you're looking for. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see that space open and functional, but it was not designed with live theater in mind. And even with a large budget to retrofit it, it would not give the community the performance space they are truly looking for. Thank you.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So, in regards to what you were just saying.
Could you put your mic down so I can hear you?
So in regards to what you were just saying. So it's not impossible to get on the schedule.
It is not.
And there would be no lockout at the time of the performance. There would be no problem getting into the theater, having staff open the doors, unlock the doors, people sitting in the cars.
I would say that 98% of the events that are in the theater, I am personally there to unlock anything that needs to be unlocked. The exceptions are school events, never outside user groups.
Thank you.
How's the parking over there? I'm just asking.
A lot better than downtown. We have a pretty big parking lot out there.
And were you aware that that there's been people on our committees and stuff that have contacted the school district and they're kind of like poo-pooed and?
The district is a challenge to communicate with, even from those of us in the district. You have to know the right person and ask the right questions. And to be perfectly honest, the right person to ask questions about the theater space is me, because any question that comes to our school, if it's during the school year, is sent to my desk, including if the principal gets it before I do. He will defer to me.
Is there any way that if there's a board member here who hasn't seen the space, I have, because I've gone to several things there, that they could make arrangements maybe through you where they could just come and see, how the seating and the fly system and,
It probably would even help to see a theater space. We tend to think of theater spaces from the audience perspective because that's what most people are comfortable with.
Exactly.
There's a whole world behind the stage, and while a performance space does not need to have a functioning fly, which we have, does not need to have 660 seats, there's some key things that a good performance space needs inside the stage as well as backstage areas for the people that are performing.
And I know a little bit about this. The theater is not available 365 days a year.
Correct.
And it has certain limitations on its accessibility based on the productions and the work that is being done. So it could serve as an adjunct to what we're doing, but not a total replacement. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Correct.
And if the theater were opened up for the purposes of meetings and films and some other non-stage events, that wouldn't be a contradictory use to what's going on at the high school.
The theater as in downtown?
Yeah.
The movie theater? Yeah, I think that a better service would be that was in the space. I know there's been some discussion about, putting in a symphony, and it just, I don't know how you would get the space to do.
Right, so there are some issues around all that. I appreciate that you're willing to help us with this. We've got a lot of expertise in this community. I've known you for
A few years.
Yeah, a few. So I'm excited that you're willing to participate and help us with this. The work that's done at the high school is extraordinary. The theater is great. I do remember when we built it out of underwater. So a
That
lot's
was the
happened.
first year, we're fine now.
Okay, fine. So it's really a wonderful place to have, and we
You're the
appreciate it.
best kept secret in celebration.
I have one more question. So how many theater productions do you do a year?
There are 3 main stage productions, 2 done by my repertory theater company, and 1 is the full Big Blown musical.
And how during that period of time where you're prepping for those performances, how many weeks is the theater not available?
Typically because those are probably the most intensive, because there's no place to build a set.
Right.
So we have to build a set on stage.
Right.
During those windows, the set on stage for the 2 smaller shows is 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
The one for the musical is usually closer to 5 weeks.
We're looking at 7 weeks there. And then, so that's for you. And then the choral and band has 1 concert, 2 concerts?
Band has 3, band has 2 concerts a year, choir has 2, dance has 2, and then band and choir do a joint concert at Christmas time. And each
So
of
that's
those
8.
takes, a day of rehearsal and a day of performance.
So that's 16 days there. So you're saying that we probably could not get in for 7 weeks for the theater productions?
Correct.
And then an additional 16 days for the band productions?
Correct.
But the whole rest of the year is first come, first serve, whoever can get.
And as I mentioned, it's all in Facilitron's view, which we can look at the calendar and see.
I've seen it. I happen to know somebody who's a teacher and assistant.
Jim?
Is it available during the summer?
Yes.
Couple things. Thank you for being here and for sharing this. Parallel questions following up on Cindy. You said space is limited, but you also said it's underutilized. So does that say is the conclusion of that the majority of the time, if we were to look at a Tuesday or a Thursday, most of the time it would be available?
Yes.
Okay. And then separately is a cost factor. So you probably have some rates. Are they published? Or is that just talking with you?
Well, that's not. That is set by the district.
Okay.
This was originally intended, I mentioned, it was originally in the grant supposed to be a community theater on one side.
Okay.
And in the original grant, it was written that it was supposed to be the nonprofit rate. There's a profit rate and a nonprofit rate. And I also know the facility needs some help in some things. We're almost 20 years old.
Yeah.
And certainly if the community was interested in doing some things to help the facility, my principal and I could have some conversations It's hard to get things done for the district, bottom line. A lot of money comes into them. A lot of the money, when you look at those rates online, those rates don't come to us. They go to the district office and we get a very small percentage back. And so it is often better for us to work with a group.
We just talk with you.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it a win-win at the local level. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Very helpful.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. At this point, we are now up to board comments. Cindy, I'll start with you. All right, Cindy?
I think it's something by the time you get around the table.
No, no, no.
Hey.
No comments.
Jim?
No.
Wow.
I can break that.
Go ahead.
No. I'm not going to push this all the way to 8 o'clock. So I don't want to do anything that keeps us from dinner or whatever we're going for. But thank you to all for all we're doing and all that everyone is doing. And thanks for those 8 people who came forward, youth included, with some great ideas. I'm not going to call out Dennis or Matt or Eileen, but thank you, or others, but thank you for your comments. Those are very helpful. That's all.
Okay.
All right, I do have one thing.
Okay.
Thank you, Covenant Committee, for putting in all those hours at this time, and we really appreciate that.
We haven't started yet.
Thank you for the commitment of potentially putting in that many hours.
Absolutely. We're here to serve.
So I do have a couple of things. I wanted to just update the community on where we are with Celebration Hall and with the communications advisory groups. We will be accepting the final reports of both of those advisory groups next Wednesday at our August 10th meeting. We have decided to cancel our August 24th meeting, so you all get that night off. We will be reviewing those reports, putting them online and working with them. The board has authorized what we're calling an evaluation team to start to go to the next steps of looking at all the information that we're getting, like the information we got tonight about the theater, but also looking at the Celebration Theater and talking to residents that have had different experiences. We had a resident that opened the theater in Tampa. He's going to meet with some members of the evaluation team. We had another resident that opened a theater in Chatham, Massachusetts, very successfully reopened a theater, turned it into a movie theater for the community very successfully. He's going to be talking to the evaluation team that same night. The evaluation team will be meeting on August 29th. We will notice that meeting, and it will be a meeting for those members to ask questions, and then we will go from there and see where we are in the process. This is a long process. No decisions have been made. No secret meetings have been held. No decisions have been made. Nothing has happened that is anything other than what we've discussed in public. So I wanted the community to know that we are continuing to move towards looking at the 851 building and the repairs here. We are looking at the advisory group reports, which included Lakeside and Stetson and a number of other locations. We'll talk about those next week. And I know we'll have a robust discussion about that. So that is our plan. Next week, the 10th, we meet. We are off the 24th. We'll be doing budgets in September, and we have a lot of work to do. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. Thank you that are online. Thank you, board members. I knew you were going to have the last word. Go ahead.
Well, I just have
Not necessarily.
I just have a question. So the meeting where you're going to be discussing, you're going to be talking to people who have tried this in their community or whatever.
Right.
I'm not part of that committee,
Right.
but that's a conversation that as someone who's going to be making the final decision, I would like to hear for myself. I know doesn't qualify for an executive session. I can understand why you wouldn't want to make it an open meeting. Is there any way that we could impose upon the people or person that you're talking to maybe do 2 sessions?
Yeah, what we've talked to is to say, would those individuals be willing to talk to you as a board member if you wanted to talk to them? This is something different with the evaluation team, but yes, we're going to make that request. I've asked Lauren to reach out to those individuals. You heard from Mrs. Bowers Camp tonight. Certainly, if you wanted to meet individually to do that, that would be acceptable as well. Celia?
So these individuals that have opened up these theaters, are they privately owned by those individuals, or are they?
Well, one was and one was a community theater, but.
It was a community theater. Who owned it? Like an
The
HOA?
community. Yes, the town of Chatham, Mass.
Okay, so it's a town. It's a
The
town.
yeah.
It's not like Celebration.
Yeah, and I'm not here to debate whether it's
No, no,
good or
I-
bad.
no,
I'm just trying to
I'm
tell you that
just
we're
saying.
trying to get more information. So that's where we'll go. We'll give you the information of those individuals. And if any board member would like to meet with those individuals, I would encourage you to do so. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. With that, anything else?
It's a town in Massachusetts.
Cape Cod.
No, you didn't.
Nice
All right.
location.
I wonder if he's thinking that.
All right.
Don't give him a chance.
I'm not going to. All right. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
All right. Second? Out of control. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank
That
you all
was
very much.
great.